Hello. 4 days ago, I had hernia repair surgery. It was my second such surgery. And for the record, I did try to prevent this by playing the "since you're going to be in there anyway" card last time around. But apparently that wasn't premise compliant and the surgeon was having nothing of it. So 4 days ago, I went through the surgical process, the basic open up the vessel to atmosphere, insert flush patch, close the vessel, repressurize. So what I was able to observe, though, that applies to our work is the very tight controls used for both the trust but verify section of project work and readiness review. They kind of combine their readiness review with their trust but verify certification. So you arrive at the hospital, and while you're checking in, the person checking you in has on her computer screen basically everything that's needed to know about this, because it's all been pre-decided weeks and weeks in advance, et cetera, et cetera. But nonetheless, we walk through it as if this was the first time these questions had ever been asked. And when that part of the readiness review is complete, then you get passed on to what they call day surgery. And the first thing that happens in day surgery is you have a nurse that's going to prep you for surgery. And in this case, it was a female, and she starts going through a whole list of questions, many of which we've just covered out front, trust but verify, and all of which have to do with, do you know why you're here? Is this the correct place for you? Do we understand what the scope of work is? All that kind of good stuff that anybody in our business would be fully supportive. And her answers need to come in the same as the previous answers. And that's an important part of their trust but verify system. So it continues on from there, because from that room you get wheeled into pre-surgery, where a surgical nurse comes and asks you another whole series of questions. She has a large amount of paperwork in this case. Basically, the paper's generated by all the questions so far, and she's going to go through them all as if nobody'd ever answered these questions before and sign off on every one of them to get the exact same answers as the previous two rounds have got. More trust but verify and more readiness review. After all of that, now all the papers are lined out in front of you, everything is sorted out, you'd think you're ready to go, but now the anesthetist comes in. And this person also asks you a whole series of questions, many of which are the same ones that are already in the file in front of them, and some of which are, I take it as his own take on those questions, all of which is led to making sure they have the right patient at the right time to do the right work for the right reasons. Readiness review. And also verifying that all the previous people, before he puts his certification on the line by putting you under, all of that pre-work has been done. And from there, the next thing I remember, I'm in the surgery, and that same individual's asking me, do you feel a little bit more relaxed now? And I clearly remember saying, no, I don't feel any different at all. And then I wake up in post-op. And that's sort of the end of that story. 4 days later, I'm out here in my office. Yeah, I'm not doing jumping jacks and I'm not doing bench press, but pretty amazing. Because I'll tell you what, when I was 11 years old and had my appendix out, surgery like this would have kept you in the hospital for at least a week. You wouldn't be out in your office shooting videos 4 days later. And why are they getting there? They're getting there through process. They are committed to a process and they follow the process. And the reason why it was significant to me to make this video is because the part of the process I was witnessing was the readiness review. And readiness review is something I've been witness to many, many, many times. But in typically what I'm seeing out in O&M facility land is people get a readiness review score of like 68% or 78, 75%, and they just proceed on down the road. Oh, that's pretty good. That'd be like a B. Well, it's not like a B. You know, the way readiness reviews work is the way it would have worked at the hospital. If any one answer had been out of alignment, that would have been it. I would have been going home looking for a new surgical date. Everything would have been replanned from scratch. Right? Remediation. Instant and immediate remediation. That's what readiness reviews are supposed to deliver. The reason readiness reviews don't, work as well for turnaround as they work for surgery is because we don't apply them properly, right? You do a readiness review, you find out you're not ready, so you go ahead and do the work anyway. Thankfully, for me, that's not how my surgeon works. Peace out.